Text animation is easy, but most people think they need to be an After Effects pro to create silky smooth text. In this video, we will make 4 different styles so that you can start animating like the top brands. And it's all going to be done by using the Animate panel. You can access it by opening your text layer and pressing the arrow besides Animate. This will reveal a bunch of modifiers that you can use to animate your text, such as scale, blur, rotation, and so much more. I'll be giving away a few animation presets in my Discord server, so make sure to join if you want to save time and speed up your workflow. Let's get started. Alright, let's start with text style 1. First, open up the text layer. Press the arrow besides Animate and add a position modifier. And then besides Animator 1, press Add and select Opacity. This will add the opacity control to the same animator so that they can be controlled together. Now let's change the Y value of the position to 80. It's moved our text, but you can imagine this as the starting point of our animation. Now change the opacity to 0. As you can see, nothing is playing. And that's because we need to apply some keyframes first. Open up Range Selector and keyframe the offset. Then go to about 15 frames and set the offset to 100%. And now we have our simple text animation, but we want it to reveal itself word by word. So let's open up the Advanced tab and change the drop down besides Based On to Words. Now that looks much better. We can smoothen everything out by changing the ease high to 20% and the ease low to 100. This is how it looks. It's quite smooth. We can also apply motion blur to finish it off. And there we have it. Alright, now we have style 2. Open up the text layer and add a position modifier. And then in Animator 1, add scale and opacity. Now let's set all of our starting values. I'm going to change the opacity to 0%, the scale to 20, and the position to 140. Now open up the range selector and then advanced. Change based on to characters excluding spaces, which means that only the actual characters will be animated and not the spaces between them. And then we can change the ease low to 100%. Instead of offset this time, we'll keyframe the start values. So set a keyframe for the start. And then go to about 1 second and change the start to 100%. Now we've got this cool animation of our text scaling up. It doesn't look as dynamic as I'd like. It will be much better if it started fast and ended slow. So let's select our keyframes and then apply Easy Ease. Go into the graph editor and just drag the right side in a little. About here is fine. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that's looking much better. And to finish it off, apply motion blur. And there we go. If you're finding this video helpful so far, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if there's any tutorials you'd like to see from me next, then leave a comment below. Alright, now we have style 3. Open up your text layer and apply a scale modifier. Then we're also going to add rotation, opacity, and tracking. Scale, rotation, opacity are pretty self-explanatory. Tracking will essentially change the spacing between your characters. To achieve the effect we're going for, we want to bunch all of the text together as tightly as possible. So just drag your tracking amount down till all the characters are overlaying each other. Then lower the scale to 40, the rotation to 30, and the opacity to 0. Then we can open up the range selector, go into advanced and change the based on to characters excluding space. Let me just zoom in a little. Alright, so keyframe the starting point. Then at about 20 frames, set the start to 100%. Now we've got this cool animation. Let's just apply motion blur. That's looking better. Select your keyframes and apply Easy Ease. And just drag in the right side a little. Perfect. Alright, and finally we've got style 4. This one's a little more advanced as we'll be using 2 animators. This is so that we can have the text appear in full before the rest of the animation is complete. Let's start off with our first one, which will just be opacity. Set the opacity to 0, and then we can go into range selector and change it to characters excluding space. And we're also going to change the shape to ramp up. This might look confusing to you, but don't worry, it's quite simple. We can control how ramp up affects our text by changing the offset value. So at -100, we can't see our text, and at 100%, it's fully visible. Let's set a keyframe for our offset at -100. We can also keyframe the start value, and then move up to about 20 frames, and change the start to 100 and the offset to 0. Now we've got our text fading in. Select your keyframes and apply Easy Ease. Drag the right side in all the way, and the left side we can decrease it to about here. This is what we have so far. This text starts off by fading in, and then around here we want the animation to continue, which will be achieved with our second animator. Go to Animate and add a scale modifier. This will create Animator 2. Now add rotation and blur. Change the scale to 60%, the rotation to 15, and the blur to 15 as well. This is how it looks. Open up Range Selector, Advanced, change based onto characters excluding space, and shape to ramp up. Just like before, keyframe the start and offset, and change the offset value to -100. Move your timeline to about 1 second, which is after our first animator ends. Change the start to 100% and the offset also to 100. And now we have this super smooth blur animation. Don't forget about your free text presets. You can download them from the Discord server. To install them, open up your Adobe folder and then select After Effects and then User Presets. Paste your files here. If you want to use them, then head on over back to After Effects. Select your text layer and then go to the Effects panel. Open up Animation Presets, then User Presets, and drag any of these onto your text layer. It's as easy as that. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.